Good evening. It's Ricky from Moshville Times here once again. Tonight I'm delighted to welcome Lincoln-based metal band Borders. Tonight we've got the bassist Tom and we've also got the vocalist Geordie. So Borders play a mixture of everything. You've got djing, you've got progressive metal, you've got a wee bit of deathcore. I think they just play what they want to play, but it might sound chaotic, but these guys pull it together. So how are you guys doing since lockdown? Everybody been safe with COVID, your jobs and everything like that, all okay?
Yeah, we've been really good, to be fair. I've worked throughout the whole thing because I work for the NHS. Tom is an IT dude. So
no,
obviously,
I've been safe working at home.
yeah,
Yeah,
we've been doing good, man. Yeah, just it's more time to really focus on writing, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, we're certainly going to come on to that, but I tip my hat off to you for working for the NHS and IT. Switch it off and switch it on again. That's what you say. So
literally, that is that's my life.
So we're not here to talk about COVID and everything like that, but just touching on lockdown a wee bit in the shit year that was 2020, maybe the first half of this year as well. It's extremely pleasing to hear that you guys have been busy at it and have a number of songs ready for a new release. So is this going to be in the form of an EP, or are you going to release your follow-up album? Is this going to be your second album, or what can you tell us about it?
So it is another. You want to do it, Jordy?
I'll let you go, Tom.
We're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have a lot of this, but one of us starts. It is an album. Can't say too much, but we're very excited about it, really, and it shouldn't be too long now at all. We've been hard at work, locked away inside. Scribbling away, and riffing away.
So how many songs would you say you have for the album then? Are you doing 8, 10 or 12, or have you not came to a conclusion yet?
I'm gonna have to count now.
I'm just wondering.
We're going.
I think, to be fair, we're gonna see how, because we've still got a few ideas in the pipeline. We're gonna see how they come out and whether what they think they fit. But I imagine you're probably looking, around 9, 10, something like that?
I'm just wondering if you've got like 15 or 20 songs and then you're just going to nurture it down, or 14 songs and nurture it down to...
We do kind of do that, but we kind of have, I wouldn't call them full songs. We kind of have like splash of ideas. We'll have like a big list with a bunch of ideas on, and we kind of go, right, this one's really cool, we should develop that one. Yeah. They're not really like full songs that we go, we'll have a few extra songs at the end, but like they're... At the beginning, we'll have a bunch of ideas and kind of work off them rather than full tracks that will go, right, let's really dig into that one.
Yeah, cool. So you're maybe looking at something towards the end of the year, like to do the recording, maybe spring will be released, or is it still too early to say as well?
I think, if we talk full album, I don't know whether it's going to be this year. I think it might be more towards the next, but I don't want to say too much. I don't know what I can say. But it won't be long at all. It'll come like that. Don't worry.
You can probably tell I'm looking for an exclusive, you know.
Yeah, digging for it.
So for those that are new to the band, then how would you say that the new songs compare to the debut album Purify? And do you think you found the sound that you've been looking for?
I think so. Yeah, I think, to be honest, with Purify, it was us experimenting with different sounds as well. So like you said earlier, man, we've got elements of deathcore, new metal, rapcore, metalcore, so we didn't really find ourselves with that album, but we had a lot of fun. Yeah. Whereas now we've been really able to channel what we want our sound to be, which has been a challenge, but I think people are really going to like it. I've had to push myself quite a lot vocally to do things that have pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I think when we get the final mixes back, we're just so proud of it so far. Can't wait to show it to the world.
What do you think? What do you think, Tom? Thanks for that, Geordie. What do you think about the sound?
I do feel like we've. It's definitely a big step in a different direction. I think it's definitely more fun. I feel like we've had a lot of fun with this stuff, and it's like, it's definitely a bit more us. Especially at this stage where we're at now, we're definitely having more fun with it, you know, and I feel like we're kind of leaving a bit of the technical stuff behind. Like we used to be, especially before Purify, used to like really enjoy like the kind of technical stuff and doing that kind of thing. I think recently we're kind of like, you know what, let's just have some fun, bouncy riffs and stuff that and worry about it sounding really good rather than trying to make something that's like complex or impressive or something like that. Which I didn't feel like we did too much on Purify, but I think that was definitely an element that we thought about, and I think we're definitely having a lot more fun these days.
Good. Do you think it's because other members of the band are stepping up and contributing more, or was it Purify was maybe just one or two songwriters, but the whole band are now contributing? What do you think's caused this change in the sound?
So I think that's definitely part of it. I think part of it is just a conscious decision to move in a different musical direction. But also everyone is being a lot more involved. I think, weirdly enough, the pandemic stuff has even made us all get more involved, because like we're chatting a lot more and doing things online, and like that's kind of how we've done it. So everyone kind of gets their say in a lot faster than being like, oh, Gaz usually the main songwriter, at least for the bass of the songs, and we'll all come and then add our flavour to it and change it around. And we used to, go and meet up somewhere and do it all. Whereas now we've kind of got used to doing it remotely, and it actually lets us talk about it more often, which is weird.
This time I would say, like, we usually would tend to get a demo and then work on it individually, and then just meet up in like the other one's bedroom and work on things together. And it was always kind of like, it can be stressful, and if you're like all tied up in like a room together, it's not that fun. So we decided to like go out to a cabin. We like hired a place kind of in the middle of nowhere, and we had about 3 days, I think, writing. It was just a lot of fun. Like, we could just drink beers and be ourselves, and we created 2 songs, I think, that may be singles on the new album. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
I think that's fine.
Definitely the most fun songs for me on the records, and that stemmed from us being able to party in this little cabin.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, the truth will set you free. You weren't going there to write songs, you were there to have some beers. But it sounds as if there's a lot of good stuff coming out of it, so I'm certainly looking forward to hearing it. But is there a small element that you might think you might alienate some of the fans of Purify to what you're doing now, or are you getting good feedback from what people have heard so far?
I think some people will definitely, it won't be their jam. I think there's some people that will kind of be expecting like our more like metalcore standards, and I think we're trying to break away from that a bit. But I think it's going to be worth it. It's what we want to do, so it's going to be fun. But I think you're never going to please everyone, are you? And I think if you are, it's probably not going to be that great. It's going to be a bit bland. So and
there was probably there's definitely people that would have seen or heard the Easter eggs in the last record that kind of know what's coming as well.
Cool. Well, Tom kind of touched on like you've been communicating a lot more and online and things like that, but Geordie, is Tom the type of guy that would send you like a riff at 4 o'clock in the morning saying, thought of this, is this any good?
The kind of guy that has a lie until about 11:30.
That's more my speed.
But me and Tom have actually worked quite hard on lyrics this year in particular. We've kind of both taken time out from work. Like, I've had to isolate at certain points, which has given me time to like hop on a call with Tom, and because he's answering calls telling people to turn the PC off and then back on again, that's given him time to speak to me during his working hours as well. So am I allowed to say that, Tom, or like
well, we only have a quick little like, oh yeah, I thought of an idea for 10 minutes. That's all right.
Break, isn't it?
Cool. So with everything that's happened in the last 18 months then, has it made you look more at the business side of the band? Like, are you taking care of things yourselves that you didn't normally do, like merch and just keeping your name out there and marketing? Like, have you all taken on new responsibilities and roles just to keep things active?
I think, I feel like there's been a bit, we're not the best anyway. If it comes to like marketing stuff, I'm not anyway. Some of us are. I'm just not that great at social media anyway. So we've been lacking a bit in that front, especially when you haven't got any more music to kind of do. I'm a bit bad at like engaging with audience and stuff. So we've been trying to work on that kind of thing. and having fun with it, really. Like, we've got a Discord server and stuff. It's been really great to like just chat with some people that are into our music and things. It's been nice doing like a more casual kind of approach to things rather than just here's a Facebook status, you know, which is nice. But business side as well, we have done more of that, haven't we, Jordy? We've been like, and especially because we're currently doing new album stuff, that stuff's just got to get done anyway. Yeah. So we've all been kind of doing get a lot more involved in that kind of thing, and it has felt a lot more businessy. It feels more now that we're a business rather than a band, because we haven't played in like 2 years or whatever. We've just been chatting on Facebook and doing business stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we have our new manager on board as well. I say new, he's been working with us for like a year now, but
time flies.
Helped us with the business side of things as well. And lockdown has given us the time to reevaluate our strategies, but I guess we've not really wanted to like tease music that much, because we've always felt that it's important to, when we release music, to be able to tour as well. Yeah. So I think this is probably the first interview we're having where we're actually talking about the album, which is fun.
It is fun.
Excellent. But talking about the album, as you just brought it up, I've been speaking to a lot of other bands, and they're kind of releasing like a single every 2 months, and then maybe after a year or whatever like that, they'll then release the album. Everybody's looking at a different way of doing things now. Like, are you just going to are you going to do the 2 singles before the album, or are you just going to do the album and then the singles after? Or
I think nothing is set in stone at the moment, but I get that it's important for bands to constantly release. Like, there's so much competition these days. There's some fantastic bands out there. And I think releasing constantly is a good way of promoting your music. Yeah. Like, it used to be a lot different. Like, I don't know, you'd kind of get like, if you was running like a PR campaign, you could promote the album. You might be in Kerrang, you might be in Metal Hammer, those kind of things would promote you. Whereas now a lot of bands are using social media marketing to promote their releases. So you have to stay fresh, I think, anyway. And it's important for bands to really not just release one single and then release an album, definitely release multiple singles.
Cool. Thanks very much for that, Jordy. Thank you. So with the recording of Purify, will there be anything that you'll be doing differently with the next album then? Like the way you're going to record it in the studio? Are you going to be doing a hell of a lot more stuff yourself recording wise? Or are you going to go down a different producer rate?
So we actually have a new producer, Jonathan from Concrete. He's done bands like Cane Hill. And he's been a fantastic help to what we do. He's been able to add a lot more layers to what we do. I'm still kind of recording my vocals separately. Everyone's doing their thing separately, and then we're kind of like working on things together. But there's been a few, for me anyway, like, I don't know about the rest of the guys, but there's been a few things I've done differently. For example, the other day in the studio, we had this bit where I needed to stay kind of out of breath, and it was all very frantic. So I literally was like jogging round the studio, going crazy, jumping on things. And like, we hit record as soon as we ran into the studio. So we've done like a lot of like weird different bits in it vocally as well, that it was interesting. I think I've seen like Lamb of God do something like that before. Drink a load of beers before you record and things like that, just to loosen yourself up. I know it sounds like a few weird things to mention, but for me, it's like, again, we've had a lot of fun with this record, as Tom was saying. Little things like that, you know what I mean?
Mm. And Jonathan's made a big difference to our writing process. Like, he's amazing. We love working with him, and like he's one of the we've worked with producers before that are great at their craft. They can make things sound really great. But he's the first one for us anyway that's got really hands-on and like given us ideas in terms of songwriting and like help develop things really well. And he's really good. Yeah.
So Jordy, guys like Tom and the guitarists, they can pick up their instruments and just play and stuff like that. So how have you been keeping your vocals in check? I mean, I'm just wondering, like, if your neighbours are falling out with you because you're singing in the shower, or you're singing in the car or whatever like that, but how have you been keeping yourself in check?
Well, I think it's been important for me to like do regular warm-ups. I've got kind of a routine of what I need to do to warm up, but I guess when I had about 5 months out of doing vocals, and I can honestly say I did not do vocals for 5 months during the pandemic. The first time I went back to it, it was difficult. So it was just keeping it up, really, just constantly annoying the neighbors, as you say.
So how was it going back to the studio then, and you see these guys in the studio room, you're like, who are you again? What is it? What instrument do you play? So it must have been a brilliant feeling to be back together again as a band.
That only happened last week, was it?
Was it?
It was only a week or two ago. We had our first practice. Yeah, it was really great to see everyone in the same place, which hadn't happened since that cabin getaway we had. And it was good to just play music again, to be honest.
Yeah. So Geordie, with you being the vocalist, then who was the one that made the most mistakes when rehearsing? Then was it Tom?
Just dabbed him in there, you know.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we all looked at each other after like a few songs, and we actually did surprisingly well. I'd forgotten a few words. There were a few bits and bobs, but I think we've done that many shows and we've practiced that often before. It came back to us quite naturally, to be honest.
So how were you the following morning with your throat after shouting for an hour?
Yeah, I had to get the Manuka tea. Manuka honey.
That's the go-to, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's all little things like that help. Like I have a lot of like herbal teas and remedies, and I use a vocal steamer as well. So I can tend to maintain my vocal pretty well. But yeah, bit rough the first practice.
Cool. Thanks a lot for that, guys. So how would you say the songs are constructed in the studio then? Is Borders a band where all members contribute, or are there still like one or two songwriters? Or we kind of touched on that a wee bit earlier. I think you're all contributing a lot more, aren't you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'd still say that in terms of like coming up with the base of the song,
yeah,
and the big riffs and stuff, it's Gav's our main songwriter, our guitarist, and then we'll come in and add stuff and change things around. Often we'll mess with structure and help do ideas and stuff, and obviously do all the vocals. That's usually how we work, but we don't actually tend to do that so much in the studio. It's more like we'll do it, as I said, like electronically.
Yeah. So how do you negotiate what stays in and what goes out of a song? You might come up with an absolutely brilliant idea, but the other three guys vote against you. So how do you keep it all together? Are you quite close as a band?
There are some hurt feelings here and there. you can't avoid it. But
I'll just do a solo project then.
Yeah. Keep that in the idea bin. But it is just a case of we usually tend to use like an outvoting system. Like if you're outvoted, that's it. We kind of just go with the majority, which is just kind of like the fairest way to think of doing it. But you do end up with some people that are like, or some situation you're like, oh, I really love that bit. I wanted that line in, or I wanted this guitar bit in or something, or I wanted this structure. But, I think a lot of the time we often manage to find some kind of compromise. Like we'll use whatever it is in something else, or we'll develop an idea that's even better.
Yeah, and I think as far as lyrics go and things, like I've tried to do this time round like lyrics that are a lot more personal to me and things that have happened in my life. But I think I can often be upset when like a bit's not put in, because I'm like, hey, this lyric is very meaningful to me. That's something about, me or my family or what I've gone through. But actually, from the guys actually all chipping in and doing their bit on the lyrics, we're able to make it relatable to other people, because I get to find out what that could mean to Tom or what that could mean to Gav. So we've had a very all together approach on the lyrics, which has been a really positive thing this time round.
Cool. You've actually just answered my next 6 questions, Geordie, with that response you gave there. So I don't know what I'm going to do now. But to be quite honest with you, I was quite disappointed in your answers there, because since you've just been back in the studio, I was kind of thinking that was going to be blood on the walls or fisticuffs in the studio and things like that. But it sounds to be like it's quite close-knit.
We're pretty good. It doesn't get too bad. when it comes to music, we're usually happy to go with a consensus. There's a few bits that like somebody might really hate or somebody might really love that have stayed in, and they're in the album still. Yeah. But controversial as they are, yeah, I think, like I say, you can't please everyone. So having something all the time that everyone likes, you're just not going to get there. Yeah, I think that's important to accept some of those things sometimes.
Yeah, you've got your own studio, like you say, because it's obviously you haven't had any gigs over the last 18 months. But I've noticed quite a number of bands, well, a few bands doing virtual gigs. I know there were periods of time where you could get together as a band. Did you consider doing a virtual gig, or like just putting a couple of cameras in your rehearsal studio and just playing a half-hour set or something? Did you ever consider it?
We didn't. We did have kind of a virtual gig where we all just recorded our separate parts, so it looks like a virtual gig, and we did that for Download Festival because we weren't able to play, so they did like an online thing, which was cool. But I would have liked to have got in the same room together, but I think at that moment in time you weren't allowed to do it.
Yeah, that's the best we could do. That was still a lot of fun, but it was a cool thing to do. It was different, and I think I like that kind of thing. Like me personally, if there's a band I like, they put out like it's almost like a playthrough video, but with everyone, and it feels a bit more live when you got all the live parts. And you get to see what everyone's doing, which I do quite like it.
All right, cool. Thank you. So obviously we talked about it a lot there, Geordie, about your lyrics then. So have you is there a drastic change in the lyrics that you've written from Purify to this new release then?
I would say so, yeah. I think the last album was pretty much a timeline of corruption, up, from the past, back in the 1900s, things like war crimes that used to happen, to the future and healthcare systems and things. But we really wanted to touch on kind of like how things have affected me. Like, I can't say too much, but they're much more deep and personal lyrics this time round.
Yeah, cool. Well, looking forward to hearing the new stuff, guys. But also, you're quite prolific songwriters, but you're also not shy in releasing music videos. I mean, there's Analyst, there's Comatose, and there's a couple of others as well. With the new release then, are you also looking at doing videos as well? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah, we can say that. There'll be videos. We're shooting one next week.
Ah, right, cool.
We'll be ready for a while.
Are you doing it in a studio, or have you got a separate location for this?
Oh, no, there is a filming studio involved, yeah. But that would be the only thing. There'll be lots of stuff, which is fun. We're definitely I'm saying fun a lot. It's because we're having fun. But we're gonna have a lot of fun with the videos as well. And I think they're gonna come out really well. I'm definitely more ambitious than the ones we did for Purify, which again we were still really proud of. Yeah. But definitely trying to take it up a notch.
Yeah. Well, do you know, it's looking good for Borders, because like every other band, it's been virtually 18 months of nothing. But now you're almost completed writing an album. You're going to be doing a couple of videos. You're going to release a couple of singles. And imagine that you're going to go on the touring front. So, like, before we talk about what you've got in store, like, were there bigger things that you unfortunately had to just postpone or had to let go?
Yes. Well,
we're still hurt.
Yeah.
Download Festival was the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously that's always been a dream for us, and we still do get to play it next year.
I was going to say, have they just postponed it yet? Till next year.
Right. But yeah, we had some European festivals and stuff, and we haven't. I think the last time we went to Europe was 2018, so quite a while ago. I think it was 2018. So yeah, it was. Are
you going to go further afield in Europe?
Sorry, I didn't catch you, mate.
Are you going to go further afield in Europe this time?
We definitely want to. We have. We announced a few days ago. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. I think it's Badgerfest or something like that. Where is it? I'm trying to think how it's spelled.
I think it's
FAJ.
Would you say Fatched Fest? Fadged Fest?
How would you say it? It's in the Czech Republic, so that's gonna be awesome.
Cool.
That is next year though. I'm trying to remember the date now.
Yeah, some mad bands on the bill.
Yeah.
Sick for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's got
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
yeah.
I'm going to try and go to Czechoslovakia next year as well. I've always wanted to go to Obscene Extreme. I've seen countless videos on YouTube for it, and it just looks absolutely mental. Just brilliant fun, you know. Half of the bands are nonsense, but it's brilliant atmosphere and brilliant fun.
That's half a festival, and to be fair, this one we've just got into the little groups, the Facebook groups, and they seem to have like a real nice community. So we're really looking forward to that one. But I think that's the only European one we've got announced so far, I believe. Sure.
I'd imagine though that you've got a lot of things in the pipeline, like local gigs and things like that now, because you're dying to play live on stage again. I mean, the downside to a virtual gig, you're together as a band and you're playing, but the bad side is you're looking out and there's absolutely nobody there.
Yeah.
You must just be looking forward to it so much. But
we've got our first one on Sunday.
So where's that at then?
That's a Revival Festival in Manchester. So that's going to be awesome. But that is our first one back in. I should really work out how long it's actually been, but it's been a fair old while.
Yeah.
Must be coming up.
The last gig that we played. So
was it?
Mm.
Ah, there you go.
Well, also with the new stuff, the new songs, I don't know if you know, I'm also part of Moshville Radio as well. So if you want it on the airwaves as well, send us an MP3 and we'll certainly play it on the radio as well. So we've got Moshville Times and we've got Moshville Radio as well. So we'll certainly give it a hell of a lot of promotion, and we'll also review the album when we get the opportunity to do it as well. So we'll certainly promote it as much as we can.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, a year ago, I wouldn't think of doing these online interviews, but now I've got my own YouTube channel, my Facebook page and everything like that. And do you know what? It's just pleasing to just talk to guys that are just into music. I was thinking that was going to be egos and all the rest of it. Absolutely none of that at all. Apart from Jody. But anyway.
Yeah. He's a bit of an odd one.
But I also see that you're going to be playing Badgerfest in October. So is that something that you're also looking forward to playing? You're in Manchester quite a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
We played at the Bread Shed before, and it was a packed crowd. So heard a lot of good things about Badgerfest. So yeah, we're looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, it's the first year. I think this is the 5th year, but I think it's the 4th festival for obvious reasons. But this is the first time I'm going to be able to be down, and that's another thing I can tell you. We've got our own interview station at the bar. I had absolutely no part in the negotiations for that, by the way. So look out for us. We'll certainly do a quick 5-10 minute interview at Badgerfest as well, and we'll catch up with you there. But yes, so are there any bands on the bill that you yourselves are looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing God Eater.
A good Glaswegian band where I'm from, yep.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Actually, there's quite a number of bands where I ask them, and it's either God Eater or Ramajunk. Ramajunk, I've got a good name as well up here. So
okay, I don't think I've come across them before, so that's something to look out for. I'm definitely gonna soak it up while I'm there. You know, it's gonna be a while. I think gigs will still be a novelty for me at this stage. Yeah. And I'm gonna make the most.
And the good thing about Badgerfest as well is the diversity. I think there's a bit for everybody in there as well. And I think everybody's just dying to see music. Everybody's going to give every band a chance. You know, I don't think there'll be nobody that'll play to like 20 people where there's 300 people at the bar or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. So what about yourself, Jordy? Are there any bands that you're looking out for to seeing?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Harbinger, if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah, I interviewed them last week. Good guys.
Yeah, super good guys. I think I'd seen them at in Nottingham, so my hometown. Watched them play before. super heavy. So I'm looking forward to some riffs.
Yeah.
Beers, man. Let's get some beers down. There's beers and riffs.
It's all you need.
Yeah, well, that's exactly my plan as well. But I won't be playing riffs because I'll have my air guitar out. But I'll try my best.
Still count.
I try my best. So obviously with Badgerfest then, how did you get onto the bill? Had John seen you guys live and says, right, I want you to play Badgerfest? Or did you apply to play for the festival? Or did you get an email? How did you get on the bill?
I think, to be fair, it wasn't that exciting for us. I remember just our guys saying, putting us forward and us getting it and being like, awesome. You know, I don't think it's, I don't know whether John's done this before.
Right.
But if he has, I hope he was impressed, and hopefully that helped.
Yeah.
Well, I think when I found out about it, I was excited to play at the same venue in Manchester again, and did a research, looked at how well the festival did last year or the year prior, and was just looking forward to playing with a bunch of sweet heavy bands.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. So we're just going to, I forgot to really ask, like, where it is, you've talked about your studio and stuff like that. Where is it you record and or you rehearse and meet up? What studio do you use?
So we use a place called Playing Aloud to rehearse, which is it's in Hycombe, near Lincoln.
Yeah, just outside.
Yeah, I think we've rehearsed there for about 6-7 years, maybe something crazy like that.
We love Playing Aloud.
Yeah, we love it, man. Get a little pot noodle if you need one. Pot noodle, soy milk, guitars, good amps. Yeah, it's good, mate. But no, we record. I record my vocals with a guy called Miroslav at Jigsaw Audio.
Okay.
And the rest of the guys pretty much record at home, don't you, Tom?
Yeah, we do. What we're doing currently, we did it for the last album as well, is because me and Gav are both into recording stuff. We kind of got our own little setups at home, so we record dry guitars, dry bass, that kind of thing, and just send them off to producer guy, and he does what he needs to do.
Well, like I say, I'm certainly looking forward to hearing it, and you guys exactly know where to send it now. So we'll certainly give it airplay and all the rest of it. We'll certainly promote it as much as we can. But I'm going to ask you a generic question now. So before the internet, magazines and fanzines were the places to find out about new bands and trends, but now publications have been replaced with thousands of websites catering for all genres. So I was just wondering, like, do you guys think that some of the passion's been lost, or do you think that the internet has been a good thing for music and a good thing for Borders?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a blessing and a curse, because nowadays you can just go on like YouTube and do your own advertising. I think we was talking earlier about advertisements online, but like I say, there's just so many competition, I would say, in bands doing that. But it is nice to have like your community of magazines or your blog and whatever, because you can look into a certain genre and a bunch of people that like that genre will follow that magazine and so on and so forth. But there's so many subgenres now as well, that it's kind of good that you can have these different magazines and whatnot. I guess would be my answer to that. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it is good and bad. I think you're never going to stop it happening. It's kind of like what happens to everything is things kind of splinter off, and you get these days with the internet, you get more specific subcultures around stuff, which is cool because, like you say, you find like-minded people that are just, say, super big Borders fans, or like, you know, whatever, Muse fans, and like that you can get together and really, really chat about just that. In terms of like the publication stuff, I think it does suck. So I imagine it's harder to like monetize, and it's harder to adapt your business to online stuff when it comes to like, if you were a physical magazine or like a small zine or something like that. Yeah. So I could see how that would be a challenge. And I think you also just kind of, there's a lot of adaptation you have to do. You have to build like a community, like, you know, around it. But when you get it, I'm sure it's very rewarding. It's very good. But I think there's a lot of work into that as well. In terms of actual music, I think it's great. I think now once everyone got over the hump of like, oh god, the music industry's gonna die with Spotify and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Although it's definitely still got its problems for artists, it doesn't pay as much as it should. I think just having all that music, the breadth of music available at your fingertips is just insane.
Yeah.
And I think these days, I swear you talk to anyone about music and you say, oh, what kind of music are you into? And they'll always be like, oh, a bit of everything. And whereas I feel like that is more of a recent thing, because you used to have to go into a record shop and be like, I like metal, so I'm going to go to the metal section and buy some metal. Whereas now on Spotify, you can be like, oh, there's a playlist, hit random stuff, and you might find some pop or R&B tune that you really like, and people start. I think it broadens everyone's horizons when you've got access to everything like that. And I think everyone is now getting into all kinds of things. Yeah. And also it makes the bands that are really unique and do something really different really stand out. And I think it also pushes artists to be even more unique when you've got such a sea of people doing the same thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. But from what you're telling me, when you look at your Spotify playlist, how many glam metal bands are on that list?
Too many.
But it's definitely a double-edged sword. I mean, for example, you guys putting your music online, you've probably reached fans in the Far East and South America and stuff like that. Whereas if you were looking for Kerrang like 20 years ago to put in a wee section about, who's going to read that, I grew up, I'm probably a wee bit older than you guys. You would send like £1 or £2 away to a band, and you'll get a couple of days later, you'll get a demo through the door, and you would listen to it, and you would think, it's all right. But because you've invested in it, you would listen to it again and again, and then make up your mind. Whereas now you say you go into Spotify, you listen to a band 10 seconds, oh no, that's crap. And because there's a million other bands doing that, you just instantly dismiss the band. It's a double-edged sword. I mean, I grew up where CDs should be burned. It should be tape and vinyl only, but it's an endless argument that you can have over a few pints of beer. So I'll see you at Badgerfest and we'll have that argument.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, like you say, it must have its advantages as well for borders, because you can reach to so many different people now, countries that you've never heard of and too frightened to say. But I'd imagine it does have its drawbacks as well, because there's so much competition out there. But it's the same with everything, isn't it?
Mm. The country stuff is crazy when you go, because you can go on Spotify and it'll tell you where your listeners are.
Yeah.
And if you look at that, it's just you think like, how does that happen? And it's so abstract as well. You see like these numbers on like a thing like you have 3 listeners in wherever, and you're like you say, I never even heard of that, or I've never even been there. Like how, and they're listening to my music. It's really cool. It's also hard to get your head around. Yeah,
cool. Listen, guys, this is probably where I'll need to start another 40-minute section, because we're going to talk about your instruments and what it is that you play. So we'll start off with you, Tom, then, since you're a bassist and you've got an instrument. So what do you play? What's your setup? What pedals do you use, and your amps and things? What are you using for the next recording?
So right now I'm using my Dingwall. I've got a Dingwall Combustion. Here it is.
I was going to say, was that it behind you?
Yeah, my chair. Look, there you go. My chair went. I told you it happened. I need to fix my chair. Hold on.
Oh, he's always actually. Is he like this at gigs as well? Is he always tripping over things and tripping over the wires and stuff, the cables? Yeah.
I haven't known. This is my baby. Needs a bit of a polish up on there, but
no, you see,
a big five string fan fret bad boy that I do love, and it sounds amazing. Now
you say you've got 5 strings there. Are you just showing off, or do you actually use the 5th string?
All the time. I love it. It's my favorite string.
Yeah.
It's because we play in drop A mainly. In a lot of the new stuff, it goes lower. And Gav uses like inbuilt software to like detune and retune stuff. And obviously I don't have that kind of capability, so I'll just move up to a different string or play it at a different place. But a lot of the time, for most of it, it's drop A, so I'm riding that low A string quite a lot. And for pedal wise, here I've got a really the old Dark Glass B7K, which is just it's a preamp in there. and dirt, and that's all you need. It sounds so great, that combo. It's a combo that a lot of people have because it just sounds really good.
Yeah.
And I literally have that, and then when I'm live, I go into like a rack compressor and out through a power amp, and away you go. And yeah, that's kind of me. I have the one bass. I do have my old one somewhere, another old 5-string Yamaha, but that's the one that I play and tour with.
So that's what I was going to say. If you're going on a 7 or a 10-date tour or something like that, do you always take 2 with you?
I actually don't. I always have things like spare strings, but I can't imagine unless something disastrous happens. This bass is so solid. It's just, I think you're going to be all right.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for that, Tom. So, Geordie, obviously we'll talk about your vocals and how you keep it in check and things. But I'm just interested about, like, have you got a particular microphone? Is there one that you found is gets the best sound for you, or are you quite just give me a microphone and I'll sing in front of it?
I'm kind of just like, give me a microphone and I'll sing in front of it. Like, I've just got wireless mics, but like I'm not really invested as much as the rest of the guys in. I trust their opinions, so Gav recommended an in-ear system for me and a mic, and I couldn't tell you the name of it, but it sounds pretty good. Literally, like, yeah.
I've always wondered, like, with the vocals, do they go through like a range of mics and all the rest of it, and then they settle on the first one? But it's usually like is it the SM58 or something like that?
That's one that's usually what we get when we go to a venue and you got a wired mic.
Yeah.
But recently, we've upgraded to we've got our own set of wireless that's kind of in a rack we can just get out. Just 2, one for Gav, one for Geordie, and then it all kind of comes out of the back of our stage rack, which is really handy.
Yeah.
I think mainly for us, rather than like a sound thing, it was just good to have a bit more freedom on stage with a wireless mic.
Yeah.
And because we do a lot of, like, I don't know, like, we'll crowd surf and we'll jump in the crowd and things like that. It's nice to just not angled and fall over.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. So will I meet in the middle of the pit in the crowd then while you're singing?
Yeah, I'm known to jump in the crowds.
Quite right. I mean, last gig I was at, actually stage dived off a bar. Ingested were playing, and that was me. That's a problem. It's all right if I get up here and and then that was me off.
Ingested as well. That's a dangerous move. That is.
Aye. But yes, listen, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Where will we find you on social media then? If people want to look you up, where will we find you?
We're on all platforms, and you can find us by searching Borders or United's Borders Band, or Borders Band UK. But most of the time, Borders will get you there.
Cool, that's excellent, guys. Like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I'll catch you at Badgerfest, if not before. Now, if you are going to go on a UK tour later on, remember, it's not just England. There's so many bands that think a UK tour is London. There is a country further up north called Scotland.
Is there?
Well, actually, now that you've been cheeky, just to inform you, that since the pandemic, we've kind of rebuilt the wall quite a bit higher, Hadrian's Wall.
Hadrian's, they upgraded it.
So we're not going to let you in.
I don't blame you, to be fair, mate.
Now, listen, if you've got like a few days spare, then I would recommend, obviously you look at Glasgow and Edinburgh, but look at places like Dundee and Aberdeen as well, because Aberdeen are crying out for gigs, and as soon as a gig comes up, it's always well packed. You've got Dumfries as well. So Scotland does have a good scene. It's just like when bands come up, it's usually Glasgow and Edinburgh. But if you've got like a few days, then I would certainly, if you're wanting any promoters or whatever like that, give us a shout. Yeah, no worries with that at all.
I love Scotland, so I'm always happy to play more around there.
Yeah. Well, remember your wallet because you'll need it. But like I say, it's been an absolute pleasure. So take care of yourself, guys, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks for having us, man. It's been loads of fun.
Cheers.